I would like to pick up on 2 points that have been highlighted both in the governance diagnostic of the IMF as well as in the civil society governance diagnostic. And these are with regard to the Constitutional Council as well as the whole question of a special prosecutor and a restructuring, if you like, or a reformulation of the role of the Attorney General. Take the Constitutional Council first. This is an institution that is absolutely pivotal to the overall structure of governance because it is the nominating body for institutions of state personnel. Now, the original idea for the Constitutional Council was that it should have 7 people from civil society of independent stature and who had a reputation and record of public service. However, subsequent constitutional amendments have turned that around to make it now only 3. And the 3 are to be appointed by the President as per the Constitution. Now the problem here is this, is that with only 3, you therefore have another 7 odd who are in effect politicians. And the possibility of the Constitutional Council then putting forward names which are essentially those favoured more by politicians than by civil society is great. The point in Sri Lanka that we have to remember, and I think is quite often forgotten, is that there is a difference between the state, which is always there, and government, which is elected every 5 years or so. The latter are essentially political appointees of partisan flavour who are in tune with the programs and policies of the government of the day. The others are state institutions. They are the ones that are there permanently to make sure that the Sri Lankan state is underpinned by democratic governance. So we need to look at how the Constitutional Council is constituted and reconstitute it in such a way that there is a balance of power at the very least between civil society and the politicians. Now we move to the question of the Attorney General's office. At the present moment, the Attorney General's office embodies an absolute contradiction whereby the Attorney General is the government's chief legal advisor, appears for the government in court, but it is also the key public prosecutor. Now we do know that given the crisis of governance and what we have in Sri Lanka at the present moment, a number of the prosecutions will have to be taken against the government. Is the Attorney General's office really constituted in such a way that it can do that? What I would argue for is that the office be reconstituted, that the Attorney General's office provides advice to the government, legal representation to the government, but that we have a special prosecutor's office, whether it be a special prosecutor's office for procurement, for economic crimes or whatever, but that is separated from the defense and legal representation of the government in court. Given the cry for anti-corruption measures, I think that is a low-hanging fruit, so to speak, that we can work on almost immediately, a special prosecutor's office, so that the corruption that is toxic to our governance structures will be hopefully begin to be eradicated.